and DMT, via solution of 30% propylene glycol, 70% vegetable glycerin. Abstract and personal background. N-DMT, DMT, in its free base form is known to be soluble in propylene glycol, PG. With the emergence of electronic cigarettes, e-cigs, or vapes, and a wide variety of juices available, there's a degree of variance of PG. I read that 30 to 50% PG is usually a good amount. DMT was my first psychedelic, and probably the one I have the most experience with. I have been making it and consulted on its manufacture for about 5.5 years, with countless DMT trips under my belt, and a handful of memorable ones, and many friendships made along the way. My main method of smoking was the sandwich method, DMT between layers of leafy substrate, before I discovered this way. Now, I don't think I'll go back to the old ways. Prep work. Method and equipment. I had recently extracted a large quantity of DMT using a straight-to-base technique from Mimosa hostilis root bark, MHRB, to ensure I only got N-DMT as the primary alkaloid. From around 100 grams of finely shredded and powdered MHRB, 2.25 grams of DMT-free base crystals were yielded, mainly white, with a trace yellow at parts, and no tan. The vape fluid I had chosen was one of 70% VG, 30% PG, mint-flavored, to mask the strong flavor of DMT, with 0% nicotine to keep the experience pure. It was the highest PG the shop had in that flavor. I used a tank with a stainless steel coil, on a temperature-controlled device designed to handle stainless steel coils. The temperature was set to 520 degrees Fahrenheit at 60.0 watts. I used an 80-watt power mod, which was chosen for its high-capacity internal battery and temperature control settings. I primed the coil with the fluid and ensured its full saturation before adding DMT-laden fluid to the tank. The tank has the advantage of being easy to fill and add DMT to. While the tank was not completely full, I proceeded to slowly and carefully add 400 mg of DMT to 3 ml of e-cig fluid. Initially, the DMT did not dissolve immediately, stuck to the top of the tank's edges, which reminded me of how margaritas are served with salt on the rim, and it appeared to be somewhat of a sludge in the mixture. I ran hot water over the tank and shook it vigorously and rotated it frequently until some of the larger particles began to dissolve. Upon firing the pre-soaked coil and taking a couple test hits, the solution cleared up and the DMT was fully dissolved. The solution turned from clear/white to a light pale yellow. Alternatively, I would recommend mixing the e-cig fluid and DMT in a test tube, and gently heating it until it's dissolved, and preparing a sort of mother liquor through this manner. Experience. First puff. I inhale for about 3 to 5 seconds, and hold for about 5 to 8. I taste mainly mint, and I am not sure if the DMT has vaporized sufficiently. I faintly smell it and taste it on the exhale, but what I mainly taste and smell is mint. It feels like I'm inhaling peppermint mouthwash. I feel the effects faintly. Second puff. I inhale as I did before. This time, the smell of the DMT was a little stronger, but not by much. The taste was not significantly different from the previous hit. I feel the effects a bit more heavily, and get a hint or idea that it doesn't behave the same way as burning it in a bowl, sandwiched between 2 layers, does. The effects creep up, then intensify somewhat. Third puff. The smell of DMT did not change from the last hit, nor did the taste. The effects become much more pronounced, as does the way it hits me. It has somewhat of a delayed effect, which I suspect is from the PG. I think the PG dissolves in the lungs first, and then the DMT follows shortly after. It would explain the ramped and lagged/delayed feeling I get. It seems like the DMT will begin to be felt a couple seconds after the inhale, but doesn't fully kick in until about 5 to 10 seconds later. It is important to take the hits back to back, so as to meet the time frame for the DMT breakthrough. The ringing in my ears begins to become more apparent. Fourth and fifth puffs. Feels the same as earlier inhaling, but I inhale differently and more deeply, holding my breath a bit longer. These puffs hit harder than the first 3. I exhale, and take the 5th puff identically as I can to the 4th. As I am closing my eyes, I begin to feel the 4th puff slam me. Then I thought about that 5th puff I just took, and the amount of time delay between the two was the same time delay between the slammed/ramped feels of it. The ringing in my ears from the 3rd puff intensified significantly after the 4th puff, and by the time the 5th puff hit, it was almost the ringing got loud for a quick moment, then stopped. I think I broke through. Time dilated significantly by this point, and I felt in awe at what I had created. The background on my computer looked cartoonish. and I could not convince myself that the trees I was seeing in it weren't cell-shaded. The clock seemed to hang at 1:10 a.m. for what felt like hours, and I looked at the tie-dye tapestry on my wall, and saw many geometric patterns of arrows pointing towards its center. Closed-eye visuals were as complex and stunning as they were beautiful. 1:11 a.m. went by more quickly than 1:10 did. By 1:20 a.m., I was feeling mostly back to normal. Extensions and commentary. I think this is really a game changer in a lot of ways. It's discreet and stealthy, it's very convenient and easy to use, and it's much easier and more reliable to break through this way than any other method I have tried. I wish I had made it at 500 mg to 3 ml instead of 400 mg. Temperature control means you run a much lower risk of burning your DMT. It's really slick in a lot of ways, and the only downside I see is the lag effect can creep up on newbies with the lag/delay response from hitting it.